My name is David Katz from ThePostGame.com, and today we're at the offices of Doug Ellin, creator and executive producer of Entourage, and also the executive producer of a new 30 for 30 documentary, When the Garden Was Eden. So tell us about the documentary.
The documentary was, Jim Lefkowitz brought me this book, When the Garden Was Eden by Harvey Averton, and I read it and said, this is amazing, and he wanted me to direct it, and I said, we got to get Michael Rappaport to do this, who just made a great documentary about Tribe Called Quest, and is a diehard Knicks fan, and I thought would be a great voice of it. It was one of those things that was just a great thing to make. It was fun. We got to sit down with some of these guys and sit with Phil Jackson for 3 hours and listen to him talk and hear really incredible stories about what it was like. He was a first-round draft pick who had to get a summer job because they didn't really make money back then, and about Red, his coach, picking him up at the airport with his wife from first day on and taking him for errands to pick up broken lights at a hardware store, which obviously today would not happen. Right. So it was just an incredible experience, and kind of with the legend of that story from childhood to actually be involved in getting people to see it and really hear it now today was exciting.
So the movie premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival. That must be a thrill for a New Yorker like you to have such a presence at Tribeca. Yeah,
it was great, and Frazier was there, and Phil was there, and De Niro was there, so it was pretty special.
Let's talk a little bit about context, because back in the early 70s, this country was going through a lot of turmoil, a lot of change, and here comes this team in the biggest media market. Yeah. Talk a little bit about that character in the movie, the economy, the world that we were living in.
Well, I think it speaks to New York and the fact that it was this black and white team, that there was never this race issue, and which seemed to be, and I don't want to trash Boston, but it seemed that they were winning all these championships, and that town was not embracing black players at all, whereas New York, it didn't seem to be a thing, and we really moved right through the civil rights through that team, and everybody seemed to just love them and embrace them, which I think is pretty amazing.
Yeah, what was it about this team that was so universally embraced by a diverse New York City?
I think they had that kind of blue-collar work ethic that everyone could relate to, and it's such an interesting, eclectic group of people, and have Willis Reed and Bill Bradley and Dave DeBusschere, Phil Jackson, who was kind of somewhat of an afterthought as a player, but becomes the greatest coach in history, or one of them anyway. Sure. So it was just a great group, and it was a real team. The way they seemed to get along and play a team game, which is not often seen, especially in the NBA, and it just was a great group. And we got footage of Willis Reed when he basically beat up the entire Los Angeles Lakers team that I don't think has ever been seen before. Right. It's just there's a lot of special moments to it.
From a process standpoint, how is it different producing a sports documentary to producing a television show like this for a major network?
Jim brought me the book, I gave it to Michael, and then I gave my input, but I had a very relaxed job on this, which I would love to have. This was a grind. I work every day. I write a large portion of it. I direct some of it and produce it. So big difference, and not to take anything away from a producer ever, because it's a tremendously important job, but the writing, directing is a much bigger grind. So,
who are your favorite Knicks? If you had your starting five for the New York Knicks outside of those famous players, who would you put together on your roster?
No one would like this, but Glenn Gonderzik was my counselor at camp, and if anyone remembers when they would yell Gondo, but I would put Patrick in there, and I would put Oakley in there, and Michael Ray at the top of his game, and Bernard. Bernard was my hero. Whether my turnaround works or not, I spent hours and hours in my driveway trying to perfect that quick release turnaround. The Detroit series where it was Isaiah and Bernard, I remember that game like it was yesterday, where they just seemed to be playing one-on-one. But there's a lot of great Knicks.
Great. Doug Ellin, thank you so much
for your
time.
Appreciate it.
Really
Absolutely.
appreciate it, and best of luck with the film.
Thank you.